For this last lesson, I think it's important to touch on Amazon's terms of service and the things that they do and don't allow when you're trying to get additional sales or trying to improve the amount of reviews that you're getting. Now, I will say this is a little bit of a tricky area. Amazon keeps their terms of service purposely vague, at least in my opinion, so that they have ultimate control over suspensions or fine-tuning what they do and don't allow. The advice that I'm going to give you in this lesson is from my real-world takeaways from working with a whole bunch of sellers as well as suspension experts. This is, though, a constantly moving target. This is an area that's changed a lot in previous years, and I'm confident it will continue to change in future years. The two areas that I want to cover in this lesson are the rules around the rate at which you give away coupons or increase the amount of sales that you get. And the second area is around review manipulation and making sure that you guys don't fall into any of those traps and ultimately potentially get suspended from it. In the first area, the rate at which you give away coupons or drive additional sales to your listing, if that's at too high of a rate, Amazon thinks that you're trying to manipulate the search algorithm, and as a result, you can get that listing suspended or maybe even your account suspended. Now, when I talk to a whole bunch of sellers that have done aggressive promotions, some that have gotten suspended, some that haven't, and working with these experts, the general rule of thumb is if you're thinking about sales in the hundreds, so I'm giving away 100 or 200 coupons a day, or I'm driving so much additional traffic I'm getting an extra 100 or 200 sales per day, especially in those first few weeks, then it's more likely that you're going to get in trouble. From everyone that I've worked with, if you're giving away 10 or 20 coupons a day, or driving 10 or 20 additional sales through some other traffic source, I've never seen sellers that do that get in trouble with Amazon for doing so. So I think you can use that as a rough rule of thumb. In the second area, review manipulation, this one gets a little bit more sticky, and this is one of the areas that Amazon is very, very strict about. A few years back, you could actually give away free or discounted units in exchange for review. You could actually say that, like, hey, I'll give you this product at 50% off, but you have to leave me a review in return. Amazon caught a whole bunch of flack for that, and they no longer allow that. They do allow you to request a review from your buyers, but you can't do so in any way that incentivizes them to leave a review or that you segment your audience in any way. If you read around on the internet, you'll find different ways that people are trying to get around incentivizing customers to leave reviews. For example, like I'll send you this rebate, this how, or in the future, you'll get early access to this or whatever else. Any way that you're incentivizing the customer to leave you a review, or even worse, incentivizing the customer to leave you a positive review is against Amazon's terms of service, and that's something they take very seriously. I would strongly recommend you do not do this, or else there's a very, very high chance that your account will get suspended. In the other area of review manipulation, I'm talking about segmenting your customer base in such a way that you could potentially increase the amount of positive reviews that you would get. Something that used to be fairly popular among sellers is to use verbiage like, hey, if you're happy with this, please leave a review. If you're unhappy, please contact me. And that's ultimately a way that you're segmenting your audience to only ask reviews from happy customers. Now, depending on your type of product or depending on your customer base or whatever else, there may be other ways to segment your audience. However, again, Amazon's smart when it comes to this stuff, and they are looking out for that. So when you are asking for reviews from your customers, you need to do so in such a neutral way that all of your customers are being asked to leave a review, not whether or not they had a good experience or bad experience. As I mentioned in the beginning of the lesson, Amazon's rules are pretty vague, which is tough for sellers. And ultimately, if you do get reported to Amazon, there's going to be a human reviewing your case. And as a result, it's going to be a little bit subjective whether or not you're violating Amazon's terms of service. Because of this, you see lots of different reports all around the internet of some people getting in trouble for this thing, other people not getting in trouble for it, and there's just a lot of mixed information out there. When in doubt, I would recommend for all of you guys to make sure that you're careful with this and err on the side of caution whenever you're not quite sure whether or not Amazon would be happy about that or not. Ultimately, this isn't something that you guys need to lose sleep about. Statistically, less than 1% of Amazon sellers, at least the ones that we surveyed, have ever gotten their accounts suspended, so it's unlikely it will ever happen to you, at least if you're playing by the rules. However, I wanted to make you aware of all these different items to make sure that 1% of people ultimately does not end up being you. We've covered a lot throughout this module, so let's break this down in a simple way. Ultimately, you're trying to launch your product on Amazon so that your listing ranks well organically for your relevant search terms. Now, in order for your product to rank well, we know that you need good sales velocity, sales history, and a high converting listing. When we're talking about sales velocity, we went over a lot of the strategies to help you get those initial sales. Me personally, I use a combination of a deal site as well as Amazon's PPC, and through that, I'm able to get the initial sales velocity that I need to rank well. When we're talking about sales history, you don't have as much control over this initially. However, if you focus on getting sales and sales velocity, that sales history comes. When we're thinking about what it takes to build a high converting listing, we went over the photos and the description and a lot of that in one of the previous modules. And in this module, we talked about what it takes to improve the rate at which you're receiving reviews, which does play a big factor into the conversion rate of your listing. Also keep in mind the pricing strategy that we spoke about to, again, increase the conversion rate at least early on so that it converts better and you're getting the better sales velocity. And I also strongly recommend that everyone plays within Amazon's terms of service. Now that you've watched all the lessons throughout this module, you are equipped with the tools that you need in order to have a successful launch. Now, quit watching and get out there and do it.